January 24, 2024, News Report 1. On January 24, 2024, People's Bank of China Governor Pan Gongsheng attended a press conference organized by the State Council Information Office and announced a 0.5 percentage point reduction in the reserve requirement ratio for financial institutions starting from February 5. This is the largest reduction in the reserve requirement ratio by the People's Bank of China in the past 2 years and the first reduction this year. The move injects 1 trillion yuan of liquidity into the market, indicating the government's determination to support the market and stimulate the economy. Additionally, Pan Gongsheng announced a 0.25 percentage point reduction in the discount rate for small agricultural loans starting from January 25. The People's Bank of China and the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission will also jointly introduce policies to improve the loan policies for operating properties of real estate enterprises, supporting high-quality real estate companies to revitalize existing resources, increase fund injection, and improve liquidity conditions. During the press conference, a journalist asked whether the decision of the U.S. Federal Reserve not to raise interest rates this year would increase the space for the People's Bank of China's monetary policy adjustment. Pan Gongsheng stated that the current interest rates in the United States and Europe are at historical highs, and there is a general market expectation that the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank may cut interest rates. He believes that the spillover effects from developed economies will decrease, bringing hope to the Chinese and Hong Kong stock markets. On that day, the Shanghai Composite Index rose by 49 points, closing at 2,820 points with a turnover of 350 billion yuan. The Hang Seng Index increased by 545 points, closing at 15,899 points, with a 3.6% increase and a turnover of 120 billion yuan. However, Sakruna from London's Daiwa Capital Markets expressed that while the reduction in the reserve requirement ratio by the People's Bank of China is welcome, it may not change the current situation. She pointed out that whether the national team and various financial institutions can work together to support the market, stimulate buying, and limit selling is still a question. Analysts warned that the Chinese economy has been experiencing its largest downturn since the reforms and opening up began last year, facing various pressures, including the decline of the real estate market, factory closures, and a surge in unemployment. Some scholars pointed out that the concentration of power under Xi Jinping has led to hesitation and slow decision-making among lower-level officials, slowing down information circulation, and eroding confidence in government policies. Investors have lost confidence in official statements, and the market is filled with uncertainty. News Report 2. In the presidential primary held in New Hampshire on January 23, the Democratic Party's candidate, President Biden, easily won. As Biden has already been confirmed to be the Democratic Party's presidential candidate, he decided not to participate in the primary in New Hampshire, leading to his name not appearing on the ballot. The ballot only featured the names of Representative Phillips and Ryder Williamson. Despite this, Biden supporters in New Hampshire still urged voters to write down Biden's name on the ballot. The results showed that Biden received 68% of the votes, while Phillips received 20% of the votes. Biden issued a statement thanking all voters who wrote down his name on the ballot, considering it a historic commitment to the democratic process. On the other hand, in New Hampshire, former President Trump defeated the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations Haley in the Republican presidential primary on January 23. Although the counting of votes in the Republican and Democratic primaries in New Hampshire is still ongoing, according to Edison Research's forecast, Trump's vote share is 55.6%, while Haley's vote share is 42.8%. Trump became the first Republican since 1976 to win both the Iowa and New Hampshire primaries simultaneously, further consolidating his advantage in the race for the Republican presidential nomination. With a large number of independent voters in New Hampshire, Haley had hoped for a victory in the state to continue her campaign, but it did not materialize. Haley congratulated Trump on his victory but stated that the competition is far from over, and she will continue to prepare for the next primary in South Carolina. After the primaries for the Democratic and Republican parties, both parties will hold their national conventions to officially nominate their presidential candidates. The voting day for the U.S. presidential election this year is scheduled for November 5, the same as 4 years ago. News Report 3. The Ukraine war is currently at a stalemate, with both Russia and Ukraine facing a shortage of ammunition. Kobe, a spokesperson for the U.S. National Security Council, stated that due to uncertainty about when the next batch of weapons and ammunition will arrive, Ukrainian commanders must make difficult decisions, including choosing weapons, using ammunition, and missiles. According to the New York Times, at least 3 of the missiles recently launched by the Russian military were made in North Korea. In addition, Russia has shifted from using human wave tactics to primarily using missiles and drones in its attacks on Ukraine. On January 24, the Ukrainian military launched 3 missiles, successfully shooting down a Russian Tu-76 transport plane, carrying S-300 air defense system missiles, according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. In retaliation, Russia used S-300 missiles to attack Kharkiv. In addition, on January 21, the Ukrainian military used drones to attack a fuel terminal in Ustagorod, Russia, causing partial shutdown of the terminal. On January 24, Russia attacked major cities in Ukraine with missiles and drones, resulting in 18 deaths and more than 130 injuries. U.S. Democratic Senator Murphy stated on January 23 that the Senate may pass an agreement on aid to Ukraine and border security within a week. The agreement includes providing $60 billion in aid to Ukraine, $14 billion in aid to Israel, and funds for Taiwan as well as border security. The U.S. Department of Defense currently has $4 billion available for providing military assistance to Ukraine, but there is no funding available to replenish U.S. stocks. Democrats and Republicans in the Senate are close to reaching an agreement, primarily focusing on border issues, but the current question is whether the House of Representatives will approve it. News Report 4. In the latest battle report, 4 brigades of Israel's 98th Division launched a large-scale offensive on the southern city of Khan Yunis in Gaza on January 22, successfully occupying Hamas headquarters in the area. According to Israeli media reports, Hamas leader Sinwar is reportedly hiding in underground tunnels in Khan Yunis, possibly with a large number of hostages used as human shields. On January 22, Israeli Defense Minister Gantz met with French Defense Minister Le Drian in Tel Aviv. Gantz stated that Israel prefers to resolve the conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon through diplomatic means but emphasized that the security situation in northern Gaza must be improved to allow residents near the border to safely return. Israel will not consider a ceasefire before that. Prime Minister Netanyahu also pointed out in talks with Le Drian that the withdrawal of Hezbollah from the border is a key goal for Israel, which can be achieved through diplomacy or other means. Netanyahu's recent statements seem to have softened, possibly influenced by domestic pressure. Since October of last year, the Pro Party has continued to launch attacks on northern Israel, and Israel has responded with airstrikes. The U.S. hopes to avoid a larger-scale conflict between Israel and the Pro Party, mainly to prevent the war from escalating. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Defense issued a statement stating that on January 24 at 2 a.m., U.S. forces successfully destroyed 2 anti-ship missiles prepared for launch by the Houthis in Yemen. In addition, on January 23, the U.S. military conducted airstrikes on Iran-backed militia groups inside Iraq. A few days earlier, a U.S. airbase in Iraq had also been attacked. Overall, Israel is engaged in intense fighting with Hamas, while the U.S. takes a cautious approach to avoid getting involved in a larger conflict. News Report 5. According to a report from Nikkei Shimbun, Japan is currently in discussions with NATO to establish a dedicated hotline for sharing sensitive intelligence. Currently, the United States and Japan can only discuss certain sensitive information through face-to-face meetings, and the establishment of this hotline is expected to significantly improve the efficiency of intelligence sharing between the two parties. In recent years, Japan has been gradually strengthening its relations with European countries as a supplement to the US-Japan alliance, enhancing deterrence against China. Since 2022, NATO has defined China as a systemic challenge, aligning closely with the US strategy towards China. Substantive security cooperation between Japan and NATO began under former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. In May 2014, Abe visited NATO headquarters and signed the Individual Partnership and Cooperation Program, IPCP, with then NATO Secretary-General Rasmussen, laying the foundation for cooperation. In 2023, Japan and NATO upgraded this relationship to the Individual Tailored Partnership Program, ITPP, spanning 4 years and covering 16 areas, including artificial intelligence, weapon networks, space, and information warfare. The information warfare domain will include sharing intelligence related to China and Russia. Japan also plans to standardize weapons and equipment with NATO and lay the groundwork for providing logistical support to NATO. Additionally, Japan is collaborating with the UK and Italy to develop the next-generation fighter jet, marking the first time post-war Japan has chosen non-US partners for cooperation, indicating an increased independence in US foreign policy. With the deployment of 3 aircraft carrier strike groups in the Indo-Pacific region, the U.S. strategically focuses on the entire Indo-Pacific region. Through these 3 carrier battle groups, the U.S. significantly restricts China's sphere of influence within the first island chain. In this process, Japan has gradually become a crucial geopolitical node, strengthening its military relations with NATO, the U.S., and the trilateral partnership with the U.S., Japan, and South Korea, forming significant pressure against China's breakthrough of the first island chain. News Report 6. According to a report from the South Korean military, North Korea launched several cruise missiles into its western sea on January 24 at 7 a.m., escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula. South Korea speculates that North Korea may have launched strategic cruise missiles, possibly of the ship-launched Type 1 or Type 2. North Korea claims that both types of missiles can carry new miniaturized nuclear warheads. It is noteworthy that the United Nations currently does not prohibit North Korea from testing cruise missiles. At the same time, the South Korean Navy's Special Warfare Command is conducting a 10-day special operations training on the east coast of Gangwon Province, which borders North Korea. The training covers deep infiltration, night reconnaissance, and precision striking of targets. This indicates that both sides are taking a series of actions, intensifying the tension on the peninsula. News Report 7. Bangkok Post reports an expanding outbreak of the Wuhan pneumonia GN1 variant in Thailand. Within a week until January 20, there have been 11 outbreaks of the GN1 variant, drawing attention to the death cases. It is noteworthy that the symptoms of this variant are relatively mild, mostly manifesting as mild symptoms. The Thai Disease Control Department pointed out that there were 718 confirmed cases of the GN1 variant of Wuhan pneumonia within that week, averaging 102 cases per day. Among them, 209 patients were in serious condition, with 140 requiring intubation treatment. Within the week until January 13, 4 patients died from the GN1 variant. The Disease Control Department stated that most of the deaths were elderly people with chronic illnesses, with 6 of them not vaccinated, and others having received only the initial 2 doses of the vaccine. The GN1 variant has high infectivity and shows immune escape capabilities. However, the increase in severe cases in this outbreak has attracted more attention compared to previous cases. The World Health Organization had previously stated that the risk of the GN1 variant is low because infected individuals usually exhibit mild symptoms such as coughing, sore throat, muscle pain, headache, and flu-like symptoms. However, the current situation in Thailand shows some peculiarities, so vigilance is needed, especially considering that many Chinese people travel to Thailand. News Report 8. Xinhua News Agency reports that a fire broke out in a shopping mall in Yushui District, Xinyu City, Jiangxi Province, on the afternoon of January 24, causing 39 deaths and 9 injuries. Video footage from the scene shows billowing smoke from the building where the fire occurred. Witnesses say the fire happened in the basement, and some people jumped from the second floor, while others who escaped the fire were blackened, squatting on the ground waiting for rescue. The owner of nearby shop said that the second floor of the mall was a training institution focusing on early education, with students aged 19 to 20. Due to the lack of fire exits in the training institution, the fire blocked the exit, sealing off the passage on the first floor, making it impossible for students on the second floor to escape, resulting in a large number of casualties. After the incident, rescue personnel are urgently conducting search and rescue and firefighting work, and the cause of the accident is still under investigation. News Report 9. CCTV reports that a recent cold wave has hit southern China, causing extensive heavy snow disasters in Hunan Province, affecting over 10,000 people and 4,800 hectares of crops. On January 20, Hunan Province experienced widespread cooling, rainfall, and frozen weather, and on January 22, most areas of Hunan Province encountered snowstorm weather, with 29 counties experiencing heavy snow and 5 counties experiencing extremely heavy snow. Snow accumulation occurred in 87 counties and cities in the province, with snow accumulation exceeding 10 centimeters in 21 counties and cities. In Hengshan, part of Hengyang City, the snow accumulation thickness reached 30 centimeters. News Report 10. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council announced on January 24 that former CCTV host Wang Xian had his entry visa cancelled for violating entry rules and will not be allowed to enter Taiwan for 5 years. Wang Xian had previously obtained a multiple entry visa to Taiwan for over a year under the pretext of tourism. However, on January 23, he participated in an online program called He Long Night Show and made remarks during the program. According to regulations, residents from mainland China and Hong Kong using tourist visas to Taiwan are not allowed to accept media invitations to express opinions on programs. The immigration agency's investigation found that Wang Xian violated the rules of tourist travel to Taiwan, resulting in the cancellation of his entry visa, and he is not allowed to enter Taiwan for 5 years. Currently, Wang Xian is reported to have left Taiwan.